They played their asses off. They have. They play their asses off for everybody. They show up, they work hard, all right? They don't complain, hear all this stuff, and they got to deal with it. I get that. I respect them for that because they're resilient. They come out. He just wanted to say, I didn't want anything to do with Carson. Well, bull. I'm the that pulled out the sheets of paper, that looked at the analytics, that watched the tape in freaking when we were in Indianapolis.
This might be one of my most dense videos that I've made in quite some time, because this video has multiple facets to it that in of itself could be its own video. I mean, Carson Wentz and his thing with Ron Rivera could be its own video. Brian Robinson getting shot and then coming back could be its own video. Dan Snyder threatening to literally destroy the NFL, it could be its own video. And then right when you think I don't have enough content for one video, oh, look who's playing on Thursday Night Football that I gotta get you guys a reaction for. So we have 4 topics to get to in this video. So before we get to the content, we are doing weekly cash giveaways. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on my notifications for a chance to win $100 every week. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! You know, whenever you're wearing a nice outfit, everything's looking right, you have your shit together, and you finally get yourself a nice date with an attractive woman. You take the girl out to a nice restaurant. She's having a great time. As a matter of fact, she's having such a good time that she wants to come back to your place. You bring her back to your place, you offer her a drink, and you guys decide to take a walk into your bedroom. And that's when you realize, for some reason, you just can't start going. And as you get older and older, the likelihood of it happening increases more and more, which is why I partnered with Roman. Roman offers a discreet way to meet with medical professionals in regards to male enhancement and ED. It's super convenient because you could do this all online via a convenient online visit with Roman. Prescription ED treatments are safe, effective, and used by millions of men, and on top of that, they're FDA approved. And they act really fast because there's free 2-day shipping. If you've been struggling with ED, Roman can help you rebuild your confidence during sex. And right now, when you go to GetRoman.com/microphone, you'll get $15 off of your first treatment if you are approved. And thank you, Roman, for the sponsorship. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? My original inspiration for this video is what the Commanders are currently going through. I mean, they did not have the greatest start to their regular season, and they didn't necessarily set the bar very high after deciding to trade for Carson Wentz over this past offseason. The Commanders sent a 2022 second-round pick and third-round pick and a conditional 2023 pick in return for Carson Wentz. Now, I'm a huge fan of buying low on a player, especially if that player has an opportunity to return to his old division of the team that decided to give up a decent amount of draft capital in order to really get some revenge on the team that originally drafted me. I mean, you get Carson Wentz versus the Philadelphia Eagles twice a year, and hell, the man literally opened his season against the team that ruined his previous season, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and to make it even better, Jaguars hired his old head coach, who he had a falling out with, Doug Peterson. And ultimately, it hasn't been the greatest start to the season for Carson Wentz. While in the past, you could actually look at Carson Wentz's basic statistics and make an argument that, hey, he's a pretty solid quarterback because last year he threw 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions and had a 62% completion percentage. This year, you can't even do anything close to that. I mean, he's almost at the same interception total as he was last year throughout the first 5 games of the season, not including Thursday Night Football. And things got so bad that when his head coach was asked, hey, what is holding your team back from being successful in your division, he had this to say.
Why do you think the teams in the division are farther ahead at this point?
Quarterback.
Chose the quarterback here, though, so do you have any regrets about that, or how do you...
No, I got no regrets about their quarterback. I think our quarterback has done some good things. There's been a couple of games that he struggled.
Now, as a result of this, ex-Washington Commanders quarterback Alex Smith actually roasted Ron Rivera for this.
Susie, I'm not gonna lie, I have a really hard time watching that. And when I heard it, I couldn't believe it. I'm not here to defend Carson Wentz. He's had a tumultuous career and ups and downs, and but this is a defensive head coach that is absolutely driving the bus over his quarterback. And I just want to read some stats out there for everybody just to realize Carson Wentz is 4th in the NFL in passing. The only guys ahead of him are Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady. This is a defense that is 26th in the NFL in scoring, giving up points. Oh, and they're also 28th in rushing offense. So the blame has got to be spread around. This is a team sport. It is the ultimate team sport, and how a head coach can stand up there in front of the media and usher one word, and it's quarterback.
Now, Ron Rivera would walk back these statements, even calling it a mea culpa moment, brushing off the comments as no big deal, saying he didn't know much about them until the team's PR staff brought it up with him. Carson Wentz even said that coach addressed it, handled it, nothing for me that I'm overly concerned about. Coach is a very straightforward, upfront guy. He addressed it in the team meeting, which I thought was really cool, and what he meant by it all. So I feel very confident in that. Wentz would go on to say that I think there's a lot of football left. There's a lot of varying factors across our division, which is obviously a very good division at this point in the season. At the same time, I know there's a lot of ball left, and we talked about it after the game. Unfortunately, we dug ourselves into a little bit of a hole, but we know where we're at and we know what we're capable of, and we can't try to fix it all right now. Our job is to go 1-0 this week, and we've got a short week to do that, so we're focused on that. So in terms of the product on the football field for the Commanders, things aren't necessarily looking so good. And if you look at each and every single facet of the Commanders, things are a mess, except for this incredible story on Brian Robinson turning his career around after getting shot for being in a pretty sketchy part of Maryland, I might add, and then coming back to become the starting halfback for the Washington Commanders. But we didn't even get to the craziest part of this video yet. I mean, culturally, things could be better for the Washington Commanders, barring that Ron Rivera, Carson Wentz back and forth aside. William Jackson also wants to be traded from this team, and that's before we get to the fact that the owner of the Washington Commanders is threatening to completely sabotage the NFL. So this is coming to us via multiple sources. But the main part of this article, which I think is very important, is the fact that Dan Snyder has told people that he has gathered enough dirt to blow up other owners, the league office, and even Roger Goodell. They can't with me. Snyder has told people he will not lose his franchise without a fight. So the reason for this is, obviously, there has been some discussions about Dan Snyder potentially being forced to sell the team. God forbid that should ever happen, because then the Dallas Cowboys would have additional competition in the NFC East, because the Washington Commanders might have competent ownership, and as a result, they might become a contender. We can't afford that in the NFC East. Jokes aside, it seems like Dan Snyder has gone like full Scarface on us in this situation, like full mob boss mafia mode, which, by the way, there are references to the mafia in this article. So it's a long read. I'm going to leave it in the description down below. I'm going to start with the opening quote of this entire article and then bring you the most important parts, at least in my opinion. Dan Snyder does this thing when he feels cornered, say those who know him well. He paces in a hotel suite or on his super yacht or at Riverview, his $48 million Virginia estate, cradling a drink in one hand. He tells members of his inner circle about the dirt he has accumulated on fellow owners, coaches, executives, even his own employees. All the stuff he's learned from other sources, including private investigative firms. He never says exactly what he knows, only that in his 23 years as owner of the Washington Commies, he knows a lot, and that in the zero-sum world of billionaires, this is how you survive. Snyder recently told a close associate that he has gathered enough secrets to blow up several NFL owners, the league office, and even Commissioner Roger Goodell. They can't f with me, he said privately. He would then say the NFL is a mafia, he recently told an associate. All the owners hate each other, to which one veteran owner would respond saying that is not true. All the owners hate Dan. You know what's interesting about this? This kind of reminds me of how the John Gruden situation went down. If you remember, originally, the way the emails regarding John Gruden and the DeMaurice Smith lips of Michelin tires comment, it originally came from the fact that the NFL launched an investigation into a former Washington Commanders executive back when they were called the Washington Redskins. Don't cancel me for saying Redskins! And then magically, these emails popped up. Originally, John Gruden apologized, said it's not who he is, and went about his business for the next week. And then ironically, when John Gruden didn't step down, even worse emails came out about him, where he would say homophobic things, comments about the women that worked for the organization, saying homophobic remarks about Roger Goodell. And I can't help, and this is all alleged and this is all my own speculation, bear in mind, I can't help but think that Roger Goodell definitely had a role in this. I mean, the way this was done, not to say that he didn't deserve to step down or anything like that, but the way this was done was out of nowhere. We got this information following a huge investigation from the NFL. And after we got this investigation from the NFL, the only thing that came out of this, after reading thousands and thousands of emails, is the stuff on John Gruden. Really? Out of everything that they went through, this is the only stuff that came out? And this is what it reminded me of, because there is definitely skeletons in every owner's closet. And when you're a billionaire, you've done some up stuff to try to get there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can see how the NFL is a mafia. Now, this is where it gets crazy. This is just the first paragraph of the article, mind you. Something has to give, possibly as soon as the NFL league meetings in New York on Tuesday. Many owners and top league executives tell ESPN they would like to see Snyder removed as owner. It would clean the slate for a storied team and a cherished fan base to reignite the pursuit for a desperately needed stadium, but there would be a price. Now, despite what this article is saying, we're hearing some conflicting reports. A team spokesperson called it simply ridiculous and utterly false that Snyder ever said that he could blow up the league, or that the league can't with him, or that the NFL is a mafia, or all owners hate each other. To the contrary, the spokesperson said, owners have a shared love of the game, mutual respect for each other and our organizations, and a strong working relationship. ESPN's reporting cannot change the team's great transformation or the Snyder's commitment to making this transformation permanent. Most sources declined to go on the record for this story. Goodell has warned owners that they could be fined millions of dollars for leaking to reporters. Snyder thinks that he has enough on all of them, says a former longtime senior Commanders executive. He thinks he's got stuff on Roger. Another former Commanders executive routinely called Snyder the most powerful owner in the NFL because of what he knows, a source says. The most powerful owner in the NFL? With all due respect, wouldn't you think you'd have a better team that wasn't ran the way it's run if that was the case? Don't you think he wouldn't be running away in yachts and whatnot? I mean, I don't know if this is because his fellow owners are trying to sabotage him, because the fact that we know all this messed up stuff about Dan Snyder could be because other NFL owners are trying to push him out. And maybe they're trying to push him out because he's too powerful. He has too much information on everybody. But don't you think if he was the most powerful owner, his team would have experienced some sort of success at some point during his tenure? I mean, I understand that business is significantly different than the product you put on the field, because with respect to my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys have been putting out a fairly subpar product ever since the triplets era concluded, yet they're still the most valued franchise in the world. So I guess that's the counter argument to it. But I just can't imagine Dan Snyder being the most powerful man in the entire NFL. I would say Jerry Jones is definitely up there. I would say Robert Kraft is definitely up there, but I can't imagine that person being Dan Snyder. I think he's up there because you hear about him more than any other owner. I mean, top owners that come to my mind whenever I think of the NFL is Jerry Jones, Dan Snyder, Arthur Blank, Robert Kraft, the Hunt family, and of course the entire state of Wisconsin, because they're technically the owners of the Green Bay Packers. Jokes aside, I don't know how much I believe this, because at the same time, when Jerry Jones was asked about this situation, his reaction is, I don't have anything to say about it other than I don't know where people got the supposed resource from me. Anything in that was news to me. If anybody wants to put something in my car or listen on the phone, get in line. So pretty much Jerry Jones is saying that he doesn't really feel threatened by this whole article or the supposed dirt that Dan Snyder has on him. Now look, historically, I remember some NFL owners doing some sketchy stuff. I don't know how much weight that I could put in this article. It sounds like everybody that is commenting on this article is saying it's not true, but at the same time, would anyone in the NFL come out and say this is true? Obviously, their knee-jerk reaction to this is coming out and saying that none of this is true. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this, man. Do you think this could actually ruin the NFL? Do you think the Commanders are an actual cancer to the NFL? Do you think they're going out sad? Or do you think there's any hope for them at all whatsoever? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.